myself for my first clinical attachment, first and foremost, I had to go back through the clinical briefing slides made by our PDR clinicians that have all the information I need, such as the supervisor's name, the hospitals that we are going to be admitted, and even what we are expected to do there. Madam Aini also mentioned to us that we had to take a HAP vaccination before we start our clinical attachment. Sadly, no bus are provided for us to go to HCTM, so I had to come up with another option, which is driving. But what about what I did to prepare myself mentally? Of course, I had to call my parents to ask for their support, because honestly, I was very nervous before starting my clinical attachment. I also went extra effort to ask my seniors about their experience during their clinical attachment. So all of this helped me to get an overview of what I am going to go throughout my clinical attachment period. As per my dress code, I had prepared 2 long sleeve button shirts and 1 scrub suits. I also don't forget to wear my lanyard throughout my clinical attachment. As soon as I arrived at HCTM, I had to register myself at the unit latihan HCTM. And after being done with the registration, me and my friends are able to go to the onco ward and is greeted by our supervisors, which is Madam Ainun. She was very friendly and nice to us, and she told us briefly about what they expect us to do throughout our clinical attachment at the onco ward. So basically, in the onco ward family, there is like a little hierarchy that is going on. At the top of the list, there is the nurse manager, which is our supervisor, Madam Ainun, and just below her is the head of nurses, which is Madam Nohayati, and below Madam Nohayati is all of the nurses, PKK that is available in the onco ward. In the onco ward, you won't see any futuristic technology like you would see in the radiotherapy department, like gamma knife or linac. In the onco ward, you will see some basic medical equipments like medical monitoring equipment, where it holds all the equipments that you need to find out the vital signs of patients, like the blood pressure cuff or even the temperature checker. But one equipment that interests me the most in the onco ward is the pneumatic system. So the pneumatic system is basically a device that they use to send out samples and medications to other departments very quickly by using a tube. As a very fresh radiotherapy trainee, I don't think I will be doing any heavy tasks such as positioning patient for treatment or even doing dose calculation for patients. No, but what I expect us to do is, especially since we are admitted in the onco ward, I will be doing taking vital signs for patients, doing ECG to patients if needed, doing the bedding every morning, and sometimes do wound dressings if needed. My advice for the future students that will be taking AKRT I next year, please always try to be curious throughout your whole clinical session, because we are students, we are in the learning process. So try to ask as many questions as you can to the nurses, to the doctors that is available there. But remember, don't be too nosy, don't be too annoying, because we all know that they have their own work to do. So find the right time, trust your instinct on when to ask them. Finally, a professional ethics that I expected to have throughout my clinical attachment is being punctual. Because I believe that attending early or attending late to a certain event really shows how much of a person you are. So I would like to show a very good first impression to the nurses and doctors there, for them to know that I am really committed in doing this clinical session. Lastly, I believe that I have to ask for consents to the nurses or doctors and patients every time I wanted to do an observations or treatment to them. And I also have to keep the patient's information confidential at all times, especially when I am doing the logbook works, to ensure that their information is not spread around and only kept for my education purposes.